What's up people, my name is Christian, your mental coach. I don't know what am I, I'm just making videos. And today we are gonna talk about childhood trauma. You know that thing people say about childhood trauma? Just forget it, you will be fine. Yeah, it turns out that's not how it works. Trauma isn't like that embarrassing dance move you did at prom. It doesn't just fade away. But here's the good news. You can heal from it, and I'm gonna show you how. Think of childhood trauma like a time bomb. It's just sitting there, ticking away, waiting to mess up your adult life. And trust me, it's not gonna just disappear on its own. But don't worry, we're gonna figure this out together. In this video, we'll talk about what trauma really is, how it screws with your brain and body, and most importantly, how to kick its butt. I'm not gonna lie, it's some pretty dark stuff, but knowing about it is the first step to fixing it, right? So stick around, because this might change your life, for real. Alright, time to get real. Remember how I said knowing about trauma is the first step? Well, we're about to take that step together. Even heard of an ACE score? No, it's not the new energy drink. It's a number that could explain why you are still struggling with stuff from your childhood. Let's talk about the ACE study. It stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, and it's pretty much changed the game when it comes to understanding trauma. These scientists looked at all the kinds of messed up stuff that can happen to kids, like abuse, neglect, or watching your parents go through a nasty divorce. They found out that this stuff doesn't just disappear when you grow up. It sticks around like that annoying relative who overstays their welcome at family gatherings. So, wanna play a little game? It's called Count Your Aces. Don't worry, it's not as fun as it sounds. Think back to your childhood. Did you ever feel like no one at home loved you? That's an ace. Did you see your mom get hit? That's another ace. Were your parents separated or divorced? Yup, that's an ace too. I know, it's not exactly a walk down memory line, but stick with me here. Now, here is where it gets really crazy. The more aces you have, the more likely you are to have health problems as an adult. And I'm not just talking about feeling a bit sad sometimes. We are talking serious stuff like depression, anxiety, heart disease, and even cancer. It's like each ace is a little time bomb in your body, just waiting to go off. But wait, it gets worse. The study found that as your ACE score goes up, so does your risk of becoming an alcoholic or a smoker. And it's like your childhood traumas are pushing you towards unhealthy coping mechanism. Hey, remember the time your dad yelled at you? Here, have a cigarette. Not cool, brain. Not cool at all. Here's the kicker. Each additional ACE you have increases your risk for even more problems. It's like a messed up loyalty program where instead of free coffee you get a free health issue. Congratulations, you've reached platinum ACE status. Here is your complimentary anxiety disorder. Now you may say, great, so I'm doomed because of stuff that happened when I was a kid. But hold up, it's not all doom and gloom. Knowing your ACE score is actually the first step towards healing. It's like having a map of landmines in your mind. Once you know where they are, you can start figuring out how to disarm them. Understanding your ACE score helps you to connect the dots between your past experiences and your current health. It's like solving a mystery where you are both the detective and the victim. Aha, so that's why I always feel like running away when things get tough. And here's the best part. Healthcare professionals can use your ACE score to better understand your risks and help you out. It's like giving them a cheat sheet for your mental and physical health. Oh, I see you have an ACE score of 4. Let's talk about some strategies to manage stress. So, you've got your ACE score. Great start. But did you know your childhood trauma might have literally revived your brain? I'm not talking about a quick update. This is a full system overall. And trust me, the changelog is not pretty. Let's talk about your brain on trauma. It's like a computer that's been hacked, but instead of some random guy in a basement, the hacker is your own past. Childhood trauma doesn't just mess with your emotions. It actually changes the physical structure of your brain. Yeah, it's like your brain decided to renovate, but instead of hiring a professional, it lets you traumatic experiences to be the interior design. First up, we've got the amygdala. It's the part of your brain that deals with emotions and fear responses. When you experience trauma as a kid, this little almond-shaped troublemaker goes into overdrive. It's like it's constantly on high alert, waiting for the next bad thing to happen. Imagine having an overly dramatic friend who freaks out at every little thing. That's your amygdala after trauma. Then there is the prefrontal cortex, the responsible adult of your brain. It's supposed to keep your emotions in check and help you make good decisions. We talked about that in the previous video, make better decisions. If you didn't watch it, click somewhere, it will take you there. But trauma messes with this too. It's like your brain's responsible adult decided to go on a vacation, leaving the dramatic friend in charge. A study from 2023 found that childhood trauma can mess up how these two parts of your brain talk to each other. It's like they are speaking different languages and the translator quit. This can lead to all sorts of fun stuff like chronic stress and being on the edge of all time. And by fun, I mean absolutely not fun at all. Now, let's talk about PTSD. You know those flashbacks and intrusive thoughts that seems to come out of nowhere? Yeah, that's your rewired brain at work. It's like your brain decided to install a trauma reminder app that you never ask for and can't seem to delete. But wait, there is more. Trauma also messes with your hippocampus, which is in charge of memory and learning. So not only you are dealing with unwanted emotional roller coasters, but you may also have trouble remembering things of learning new stuff. It's like your brain is running an outdated operating system that keeps crashing. Now you may say, great, so my brain is messed up and there is nothing I can do about it? But hold up, that's not true at all. Understanding how trauma has rewired your brain is actually the first step to healing. It's like having a map of the minefield in your brain. Once you know where the mines are, you can start figuring out how to disarm them. There are actually therapies out there specifically designed to help rewire your brain back to a healthier state. Things like TF-CBT and EMDR may sound like an alphabet soup, but they are actually powerful tools that can help you heal. It's like having a really good antivirus for your brain. Bottom line is, your childhood experiences have a big impact on your brain's development. As an expert put it, when a child experiences trauma, it can impact their physical development and influence their brain's stress response system, leading to deficits in emotional and cognitive functioning. But here's the good news. Your brain is incredibly adaptable. It's never too late to start the healing process. Your brain may be adaptable, but what about the rest of your body? Childhood trauma doesn't just mess with your brain, it could be sabotaging your physical health right now. Ever wonder why some people seem to catch every bug going around? Well, it turns out that your childhood experiences may have a lot to do with it. Let's talk about how childhood trauma affects your physical health. It's not just about feeling sad or anxious, we are talking about real health issues. Your body's defense system could be slacking on the job because of stuff that happened when you were a kid. It's like your immune system is still stuck in the past, too busy relieving old traumas to fight off new threats. And it's not just your immune system that's affected. Your heart could be taking a beating too. Childhood trauma has been linked to cardiovascular problems later in life. It's like your heart's been carrying around this heavy emotional baggage for years, and now it's starting to show the strain. But wait, there is more. Remember those weird aches and pains you get that doctors can't explain? Well, there may be an explanation after all. Studies have shown that people with a history of childhood trauma are more likely to develop chronic pain conditions. It's like your body's pain dial got stuck on high and never quite figured out to turn itself back down. And here is where it gets really messed up. You know how some people turn to drugs or alcohol to cope with stress? Well, it turns out that childhood trauma makes you more likely to do that too. It's like your brain is desperately looking for ways to numb the pain, even if those ways are super unhealthy. Dr. Nadine Burke Harris, who used to be the Surgeon General of California, dropped this bomb. Childhood trauma increased the risk for 7 out of 10 leading causes of death. 7 out of 10. That's not just a health problem, that's a full-blown health crisis. Now you may say, great, so not only is my brain messed up, but my body is falling apart too. But hold on, there is actually a silver lining here. Knowing about these connections can lead to better healthcare. It's like giving the doctor a cheat sheet for your brain. Oh, you had a rough childhood? Let's keep an extra close eye on your heart and immune system. Here is a quote that really sums it up. Research has shown that the experience of trauma not only influences our thinking and behavioral patterns, but also our biology. That's from the University of Rochester Medical Center, and it's basically saying that trauma doesn't just live in your head, it lives in every cell of your body. But don't panic, this isn't a life sentence. Understanding these connections is actually the first step towards better health. It's like figuring out why your car keeps breaking down. Once you know the problem, you can start fixing it. So what we can do about it? Well, first off, talk to your doctor. Let them know about your childhood experiences. It might feel weird bringing up stuff from your past, but trust me, it could make a huge difference in your healthcare. Your doctor may recommend more frequent checkups or screening tests to catch any potential issues early. And remember all that stuff we talked about earlier, about therapy and healing your brain? That can actually help your physical health too. It's like hitting two birds with one stone. You are healing your mind and your body at the same time. Alright, so healing your mind and body is great, but let's get real. How do you actually do it? Ever heard of eye movements curing PTSD? Or thought patterns being physically rewired? Trust me, the world of trauma therapy is wider than you think, and it may just be the key to breaking free from your past. Let's talk about some mind-bending therapies that are changing the game. First up, we've got trauma-focused cognitive behavior therapy, or TF-CBT for short. It's like a makeover for your brain, but instead of new clothes, you got new thought patterns. This therapy helps you to take those mess up stories you tell yourself about your trauma and rewire them into something less, well, traumatic. But wait, there is more. Ever heard of EMDR? No, it's not a new boy band. It stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. I know it sounds like some sci-fi mind control stuff, but it's legit. Basically, you focus on your trauma while following a moving object with your eyes. It's like playing a video game, but instead of beating the final boss, you're beating your PTSD. Now you may say, yeah, right, like moving my eyes around is gonna fix years of trauma. But here is the crazy part. It actually works. A study in 2023 found that EMDR significantly reproduces PTSD symptoms in people with childhood trauma. It's like your brain is a computer, and EMDR is the antivirus software that gets rid of these pesky trauma files. And now get this, these therapies don't just make you feel better, they actually rewire your brain. Remember how we talk about trauma messing up your brain's wiring? Well, these therapies are like electricians for your mind. They go in there and fix all those faulty connections. But here is the best part. You don't have to relive your trauma to heal from it. No more lying on a couch talking about your childhood for hours. These therapies focus on helping you separate yourself from the traumatic experience and reframe your story. It's like you are the director of your own life movie and you are finally get to yell cut on those traumatic scenes. Now, let's talk about numbers. Because who doesn't love a good statistic? According to the CDC, if we could reduce childhood trauma by just 10%, we could save the North American healthcare system $56 billion a year. That's a billion with a B. Imagine what we could do with all that money. We could fund a lot of therapy sessions. We could buy some food, I don't know. But seriously, these therapies are game changers. They are not just about making you feel better in the moment. They are about rewiring your brain for the long haul. It's like upgrading your brain's operating system. You are not just patching the problems, you are installing a whole new way of processing information. And here is something else to think about. Remember how we talk about trauma affecting your physical health? Well, guess what? Healing your mind can actually improve your physical health too. It's like 2-for-1 deal. You're gonna fix your PTSD and you come out with better overall health. Not bad, right? So, you've got your mind and body on board the healing train. But here's the kicker. There is a third player in this game that most people overlook, and it may just be the most powerful ally you've got in your fight against trauma. I'm talking about your tribe. No, not the kind with spares and face paint. I mean the people who've got your back. You know how they say, no man is an island? Well, turns out that's especially true when it comes to healing from childhood trauma. It's like trying to climb Mount Everest solo. Sure, it's possible, but why make it harder on yourself? Having a support system is like having a tier of expert Sherpas. They can't climb the mountain for you, but they sure as hell can make the journey a lot easier. Now you may say, great, another thing I need to fix. As if dealing with my trauma wasn't enough, now I need to go make friends too. But hold up, it's not as daunting as it sounds. In fact, connecting with others who get what you've going through can be a game changer. A study from 2023 found that people with strong social networks are less likely to develop severe dissociative tendencies. In other words, having a good friends can help you ground in reality when your trauma tries to pull you away. It's like having a human anchor when the waves of your past try to sweep you away. But it's not just about having people around, it's about having the right people around. I said this sentence in previous video as well. You know, the ones who don't look at you like you are grown. Finding these people is really hard, but trust me, they are out there. So how do you find your tribe? Well, one way is to look for support groups. Yeah, I know it sounds like something out of a cheesy movie, but hear me out. These groups can be a goldmine of understanding and support. It's like finding a whole room of people who speak your language when you have been living in a foreign country. And if the thought of sitting in a circle and sharing your feelings make you want to run for the hills, don't worry. There are online communities too. It's like social media, but instead of people posting pictures of their lunch, they are sharing their experiences with trauma. And the best part, you can do it from the comfort of your own couch, even in your pajamas if you want. Now, I'm not saying you need to spill your guts to every person you meet, but having even just one or two people who really get it can make a world of difference. It's like having a secret weapon in your fight against trauma. But it's not actually a secret because I'm telling you about it right now. Dr. Nadine Burke Harris, who used to be the Surgeon General of California, says the social support can help mitigate the effects of childhood trauma and toxic stress. It's like having a superpowered shield against the negative effects of your past. And who doesn't want a superpowered shield, right? But here's the thing. Building this support system isn't just about you. It's about creating community where everyone supports each other. It's like a trauma recovery potluck where everyone brings a dish of understanding and empathy to share. And trust me, that's a feast worth having. Remember, healing from trauma isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And like any long distance runner will tell you, having a cheering squad can make all the difference. So don't be afraid to reach out. As Kristen Holderl, an expert in the field, puts it, sometimes trauma happens and people feel scared to talk about it because they don't want to make it worse. It's important to talk about it. And she's right. Talking about it with the right people can be the first step towards healing. Alright, so we have started talking about your trauma. Great first step. But what if I told you that your trauma isn't just something to overcome, but could actually be the fuel for your personal transformation? Sounds crazy, right? Well, stick around because we are about to explore how your past struggles may just be the key to unlocking your future potential. Let's talk about post-traumatic growth. It's not just some fancy term psychologists made up to make us feel better. It's real and it's powerful. Imagine taking all that pain and turning it into something positive. It's like alchemy, but instead of turning lead into gold, you are turning your trauma into personal strength. Now you may say, yeah, right, like my childhood trauma is going to magically make my life better. But hear me out. It's not about the trauma itself making your life better. It's all about how you deal with it. It's like going to the gym. The workout itself may suck, but but the results, those can be pretty awesome. Here is the thing about addressing your childhood trauma. It doesn't just help you, it can actually improve your relationships too. Think about it, how many times have you snapped at someone because you were feeling triggered, or pushed people away because you were scared of getting hurt? Dealing with your trauma can help you regulate your emotions better. It's like upgrading your emotional software. But it's not just about relationships. Healing from trauma can actually make you more satisfied with life in general. I know it sounds too good to be true, but trust me, it's not. It's like you have been watching life in black and white, and suddenly someone hands you a color clutch. Everything just looks better. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's worth it. And here's the best part. You don't have to do it alone. There are therapies out there specifically designed to help you reframe your trauma narrative. It's like being the director of your own life movie. You get to decide how the story goes. One expert, Dr. Garden-Schwartz, put it this way: we can't change our past, but we can change our relationship to it. I love that. It's like your trauma is that annoying ex who keeps texting you. You can't erase them from your history, but you can change how you respond to their messages. And here is something else to think about. Your trauma is part of your story, but it's not the whole story. It's like one chapter in the book of life, and very creepy chapter, sure, but still just one chapter. You've got plenty more chapters to write. The cool thing is, when you start to heal from your trauma, you may find yourself becoming more resilient. It's like your brain is saying, hey, I survived this awful stuff, I can handle anything. And suddenly you are tackling challenges you never thought you could before. Now, I know this all sounds great, but you may be thinking, isn't it too late for me? No, your brain is way more flexible than you think, and it's like Play-Doh. You can reshape it at any age. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you, the journey of healing from childhood trauma isn't always smooth. You may have setbacks. There might be days when you feel like you are right back where you started. But here's the thing, with the right support and bit of persistence, you can make significant progress. Remember, you are not alone in this. There are people out there who've been through similar stuff and come out stronger. They are not superheroes, they are just regular people who decided to take control of their story. Alright, let's wrap this up. Healing from childhood trauma is totally possible. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Remember, recognizing your trauma is the first step. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. There are pros out there who know their stuff. And don't forget about building your support network. Having people who get it can make a world of difference. Here's the thing, you are stronger than you think. Your trauma doesn't define you. It's just one part of your story. You've got the power to write the rest. So what's your next move? Maybe learn about ACEs or reach out to a therapist? Whatever it is, take that first step. You've got this. Thank you so much for your support. And yeah, that was it. If you want to learn more stuff about this, click here and I'll be waiting on you there. I was your host, Christian. You've been Yuma Bye. It was my pleasure. Bye bye.